Hello. Welcome everybody to the Run.down. I'm your host, Schwinny Poo. In lieu of Sam, who is not here, he is neglecting his duties, running from the grind, but it's okay. We've got you covered. I'm here. I'm joined by Jeff. That is at FrankBarrett119 on Twitter. He is the co-founder of Hot Hand Theory as well. Jeff, how are you doing in the, in the aftermath of this glorious victory that the Knicks won today?
Oh man, couldn't be more pleased. They say things are looking up for the Knicks, and this is all the proof we need. Finally getting that summer league win. I'm doing great. It's been a minute since I've been on the show, so I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it should be a good one. Again, victory Wednesday evening that we're getting to celebrate. Before we celebrate that, do have to read a few things, tell you about a few things, and that is that BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season, from baseball, golf, soccer, right to all the top fights in UFC, MMA, and boxing. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads with the games being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet online. The game starts here. All right, so the Knicks win 106-105. Tyler Kolek hits an and one layup. Honestly, a fucking crazy shot that he hit to win this game. Converts the free throw, and the Knicks get out of Dodge after blowing. What was it? They were up 11 pretty late in this game, but they get out with the win. Dadiet, pretty nondescript game. He only had 2 points on 4 shots. We'll get to that. I don't know what to make of an offense where, like, you got Dwayne Washington Jr. just jacking up 18 shots. That first quarter stretch was embarrassing. Dadiet did not have a good game. I continue to I know his last impression was that and one he gets beat on a back cut. I still largely am way more positive about his defense than I anticipated coming in. But Kolek, 21 points, 6 of 14 from the field, 8 assists. He had 4 turnovers today. I actually didn't mind that because I was like, he was being more aggressive. At least more often he's being more aggressive. I still think there's a level he can reach, especially if only to turn off Dwayne Washington Jr.'s water. But yeah, I thought Kolek had a nice game. Ariel Hukporti had his best game so far. He had 11 points, 10 rebounds, 5 of 7 from the field. Maybe do a little less hook shotting would be nice. But yeah, I mean, those two were great. I thought Jokubaitis off the bench was fantastic. He was 7 of 7 from the field, 16 points, 5 assists. Look, we've long wondered about Tom Thibodeau's often rigid substitution patterns, and I have a theory. What if his substitution patterns are actually being guided by Dice? Because Dice taking out Rokas in this game was fucking crazy.
That's really funny. I want to go back to the Dwayne Washington, Pacome Dadiet discussion, because to me, I got some flack for stating anti Dwayne Washington opinions on Twitter, which is strange to me. And I just want to sort of clarify.
I had somebody tell me that the only reason I'm mad is because it's ruining my entertainment value. And I was like, 1, yes, he is ruining my entertainment value. 2, that's actually not why I'm upset, because there are plenty of guys in Summer League who are not providing me any entertainment, and I have no problem with them. Many of them on this very fucking same Knicks Summer League team.
Yeah. I think it's Summer League should be used to figure out what skills can correlate to the NBA. That's what Summer League is. And it's different than it used to be 20 years ago. 20 years ago, they were looking for hoopers. They were looking for people who could score. That's how they so it was basically just a big pickup game where the cream that rose to the top were the best scorers. But the league is as smart as it's ever been. It's as analytically inclined as it's ever been. And what they're looking for right now is either can you be someone who can carry the load on offense and be an initiator, which is an extremely small subset of players. And if you're not one of those guys, if you can't run an offense, if you can't, be a primary hub, how can you fill in next to one? And so what Dwayne Washington's doing is pointless. That's why it's frustrating, is intuitively what you're watching is not going to matter in any macro sense. And so what team is going to watch him and be like, oh, like, yeah, he's going nuts in summer league. He's able to, get his, we want. No, that's not, it's just, he's not that level of player. And so what you'd like to see from him is a guy who could play off a Tyler Kolek, a guy who's running the offense well. Can he move off the ball? Can he shoot off the catch? Can he defend, well enough to stay on the court? These are things you want to see. And when he's so clearly just focused on the one thing that truly doesn't really matter, it's frustrating. And on the other end, you have Dadiet, and people are criticizing him for not doing those things. But I like that for the most part, the Knicks are focusing on the areas where he's 18 years old. He's not going to come in and he's not going to contribute right away. I don't know why there are these expectations for him. So I think the expectation of him should be to focus on these role player areas. Like, he hasn't shot well. That is way more discouraging than, oh my God, we're not seeing any initiation off the bounce. He's not going to come into the league and he's not going to have offense run through him. So who cares? The things the Knicks should be focusing on with these guys are the things that can correlate at the next level and can translate at the next level. And so I feel like there's a lot of misguided anger towards what is and isn't happening. It's like people want this to just be some low quality pickup game where it's just, a 2K game or something where it's just a bunch of one-on-ones and, oh, who's the best hooper? As the league doesn't work like that anymore. So you have to be looking for these more ancillary skills. And I think a sign that the Knicks are a well-run organization is that they do seem to be prioritizing that with the players that they care about. You see those minutes where Rokas and Tyler Kolek are playing together. That's intentional. It's letting one of them play off the ball because neither one of them is just going to go into the league and have an offense run through them. So yes, it's super encouraging to see Tyler Kolek run an offense because he's such a good floor general. He has all, Benji Ridholz made a great post about how if he gets into the paint and he has the ball in his left hand, this dude can get the ball anywhere. He can swing it cross court. He can swing it behind. He can kick it out behind him. He can hit the roller with a little pocket pass. He can hit the roller with a lob. He can make the pass to the strong corner. Every option is at his disposal. That is so encouraging to see. But in no universe is Kolek going to just come into the league and have the offense run through him. So it's important to see that he can shoot off the catch. It's important to see how he moves off the ball. These are the things in Summer League that truly matter. And I just think that's important to point out because it's a sign that the Knicks are another sign that the Knicks are a really smart organization, that they're prioritizing these things.
Yeah. To go back to Dadiet, what I actually thought was encouraging from him today offensively in a game where obviously did not have a particularly good game in any facet of it. But this is the exact setting where a guy like him could just decide, you know what, every fucking time I touch the ball, a shot's going up. I don't care. I'm not getting touches. So as soon as I get the ball, I'm putting shots up. And he had 2 or 3 or 4 opportunities in the second half where he got kickouts. And instead of taking a shot, a decent shot, not a bad shot, a decent shot, he made the extra pass to swing the ball. And I like seeing that because to me, that's like, I don't doubt that he wants to take a lot of shots, but I think it's important to see a player kind of understand and have a desire to do more than that. And if you can make the extra pass in Summer League, I believe that you probably will have the extra ability to make the extra pass in games of actual consequence. So look, he's like you said, he's very much a work in progress, and he's not like they didn't draft him to play this year. You know what I mean? Like they 100% drafted him with the idea of like, one, we know you're going to take $1 million less than what we would normally give a first round pick in his first year, and 2, like you're okay not playing. You're okay going to Westchester because we're going to draft you in the first round and you get more guaranteed money than I wouldn't say it's generational money given inflation, but it's a nice bit of change. Nice bit of change he's getting. So they made a bet. He gets a benefit out of it, obviously, also on top of just being in the NBA, and he can hang out in Westchester. Throw him in the crock pot that is the Westchester Knicks. Come back in 12 hours, or in this case, 12 months, and we'll see what cooked up in there. But he's not somebody that we need to worry about right now. Tyler Kolek, to your point, I wouldn't say somebody we need to worry about right now, but he's somebody who definitely you would think if you draft a 23-year-old rookie that this is a player you think has the ability to help you on the floor sooner rather than later. And to see him have struggles for sure in summer league, but such obvious pops of like what this guy can do matters. And I think the biggest thing for me is when I watch him, I just think like, man, his game with I'm like, he will be better with better players. His game strikes me as like, if you elevate the talent around him, it is going to put him in position for him to be able to lean on the stuff that he really like. You can tell he wants to pass the ball, right? But guess what, buddy? You're on the floor with Dwayne Washington Jr. and Dadiet, who can't really dribble right now, and Ariel Hukporti, who definitely wants to dribble, but maybe shouldn't dribble too much. And like, we need you to dial it up. And so like, it's not necessarily what he wants to do, it's what he has to do. Whereas I think if you put him on the big boy Knicks and it's like, let's say there's a situation where there's an injury, you put him in a lineup where he has, fucking Dante on the floor with him and OG on the floor with him, and Bridges on the floor with him. And I think like you're just, when you watch him play, the way he maps the floor, the passes he's looking for, I just, and also like that relocation three he had in the first half was fucking awesome.
He's a really good mover off the ball.
And so like those skills to me, I'm like, I just imagine him being very effective with better talent defensively. All I can say defensively is that he certainly tries. I would not say that the effort is necessarily all that effective all the time, but that's all. Look, if he was a good defensive player, he'd been a fucking first round pick. He would have been like a lottery pick probably.
Yeah.
So you knew what you were getting there. And it's not like, look, he's not like a travesty where he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He just is limited. But yeah, look, I thought this was a really, really encouraging game from him. And I should have brought this up to begin with. The reason why I actually find it very encouraging for him specifically, even though it is just Summer League, and I do think Summer League is pretty irrelevant to a lot of things. He was playing against Keon Ellis. Keon Ellis is like an actual legitimate quality player. I think he's going to be the Kings starting two guard, even though they brought back Malik Monk, and I think he should be.
He definitely should be. Yeah. This isn't a Kings post-game show, but when you have DeRozan, Sabonis, and Fox, I know they have Keegan Murray, but they need another one of those connective shooters. Monk can shoot, obviously, but he likes the ball in his hands. He's the perfect sixth man for that team.
He does not like the defense either.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, Ellis is a menace. He had like 6 stocks in the first half. That chase down block on the three from behind over the top was so nice.
I don't know what the fuck he's doing playing still, by the way.
I have a theory. I posted about it on Hot Hand Theory. I think they're trying to get him those initiation reps. He's going to get none of those in the NBA. And I think they're like, this is a really good player. We want him around. Let's see if he can be as good as, let's try to make him as good and well-rounded as he can be, because
there's 40 minutes in Summer League games, right?
It sounds right. Yeah.
He was a plus 15 in 38 minutes today. So maybe that's why they had him. They were like, we need somebody to run this offense.
So the Knicks won the 2 minutes he didn't play by 17 or whatever?
16.
Holy shit. I did not realize it was that insane.
But yeah, look,
do you see who led the Knicks in plus minus?
It has to be Dwayne Washington Jr.
It is.
Fuck that guy. This is why single game plus minus doesn't count. But I know Kennedy led the team.
Oh, did he?
That's our leader right there, my guy.
Yeah. So we're back on single game plus minus. It's cool again.
Great stat, the best stat.
Yeah.
Many years saying. Yeah, but like I just think for him to show out against, not show out, but like compete. He competed against a guy like Keon Ellis, and yeah, did he have rough moments for sure? But to come out of that, and yeah, it's nice to get like a game winner, obviously in any situation. But just to come out of that, and especially after the last game where he kind of was just like bring it across, and then he'd throw it to Dwayne Washington Jr. and it's like, look, I get like Dwayne probably has the seniority on this team, but like fuck that guy, like fuck him, and you do the point guard thing, and he point guarded much better today. I also think Dice at least tweaked his rotation just a smidge so that him and Rokas could play a little bit together. Those minutes were fun. I thought again Rokas was really really good today. I don't know.
Got like a cool ATO bag.
Yeah, Dice does. He does
some fun stuff.
The first play of each half was awesome.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
And for the second straight game, I thought he drew up like a pretty cool last second possession. Was it? Wait, was it this game or was it the first? Was it the second game or the first game when Jacob Toppin missed the game winner? It was the first game, right?
Yeah, it's the first game. Yeah.
And then the Knicks blew a huge lead in the second game.
Yep. So I think what we can say with some certainty is Tibbs listens to Dice when it comes to rotations, but not when it comes to ATOs. He's like, nope, we're getting this ball to Jalen, buddy.
We're getting it to Jalen. We're doing the little handoff back and forth thing, and then Jalen's gonna create something. Go create something.
Yeah. You figure out how I'm getting Julius his 42 minutes tonight, buddy. All right.
It's gotten kind of underrated, and it's weird to say this because the Knicks front office has deservedly gotten so much adulation, but just it's gotten kind of underrated how good a job the Knicks front office has done of getting players who mold with what Tibbs wants to do, you know, his strengths and weaknesses. Oh, you're not a huge fan of drawing up these intricate plays. You just believe in overall scheme. You need someone who can break down the defense and create offense on their own. Here you go. We'll just get you one of the best one-on-one players in the entire NBA who at a premium. Like that's crazy. I mean, and that's just one example.
Yeah, I mean that's always like the kind of line you have to. You're the what is it? Threading the needle, like he it's like, well, we like getting players is fine, but they have to be like, if you have a coach who wants to do X and this player is best at Y, that isn't going to work. So like, obviously basketball is a little bit more fluid than that than it is. This isn't like football, right? Where it's like, well, how could you get a fucking 4-3 edge for this guy that runs a 3-4? And it's like, it's not the same thing. But there is still some of that where it's like if you got Tibbs, a bunch of guys that are all thrive exclusively playing in transition, he'd be like, what the hell am I doing with this team? Like, I don't know what to do with these guys.
Yeah.
Whereas I think they found that balance, which, yeah, I mean, look, we'll see what these guys all are, but you can only see the vision with all the guys they picked, right? Like with Kolek and with Dadiet and with Hukporti, and again, we haven't even talked about Hukporti. I thought this was pretty easily his best game.
We haven't talked about Rokas either. I thought he was the best player in the game before Kolek went nuts at the end. He was great.
Well, before Dice got him back in shackles.
So weird.
Yeah, he was. I don't. It's kind of funny because he hit two, like he hit a transition pull up in the mid range, and then he hit one super early clock mid range, like driving left on the baseline. And Sam Mitchell was doing the announcing. I actually like Sam Mitchell a lot. But it's like you could tell he's just like such a boomer because he was like, I love that shot. I love that shot. And I was like, really? Because I fucking hate that shot. And you know who else I bet hates that shot? Is Tibbs, unless you shoot like 60% on that in Terrytown for 3 months in a row. Then he'll be like, okay, you're allowed to take the shot. But if you fucking miss it once, never again. Never again.
Or your name is Julius Randle.
Yeah,
those are the two. You don't have to shoot 60% from there. It's just like, all right, Julius, you need to shoot those to get going. Just shoot as many as you fucking want.
Yeah, but yeah, like I thought he was really good. He handled ball pressure a lot better today than he did in the last game. against the Nets. He really struggled with that. He still has a habit of picking his dribble up when he gets doubled, and then he's like kind of stuck. But the shooting, man, I think that the shot looked really nice. I thought he played under control. The pace he played with was good. It was just a good performance. I mean, that he had a pretty late clock three off from the top of the key on like right on the right wing. That was a tough shot during that in the first half. But yeah, I was impressed with him. I thought his defense was actually quite good too. He had a really nice steal, blindside steal. That was like a Jalen Brunson special. But yeah, I mean, he had a really nice game, and look, he needed it especially because the first
and
two
he had
games,
a dunk.
Yeah, that was off the steal.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other steal. He had a steal going both ways. But remember, he had one steal where he pulled up on for a midi. That's the thing you were talking about, Sam Mitchell, where he's like, I like that.
That's a tough shot. Yeah. I like that. Yeah, it is a tough shot. You're right.
Yeah. To sort of close the loop on Pacome, Dadiet, I think there are some clear positives right out of the gate, and I think there are some areas he just has to improve on if he's going to become a rotation player. I like the thing you brought up. I love his connective passing. He's a quick processor who the ball doesn't stick with him when he's not the initiator. There have been a few times where he's been at the top of the key and wanted to run the show, and it's okay. Let's work on other stuff, but that's okay. He's a young kid playing summer league. I'm just saying, for those individual possessions, you'd like to see it going elsewhere. But the times when he's playing off the ball and he's operating above the break, the ball, if it hits his hands, he's either shooting or he's swinging the pass or he's attacking the closeout, and he makes those decisions very, very fast. Defensively, I agree with you entirely. I think he's showed out defensively, honestly. I think he's shown versatility. I think he's done well on the ball. He's done well off the ball. You can tell with his size and athleticism, he has a very versatile ceiling because he can, show out on the perimeter. He can slide with guys. Who did they play in the first game? Brandon Miller. He did a good job guarding Brandon Miller in the first game in Brandon Miller's on-ball reps.
The only thing Brandon Miller got against him was like off-ball threes, basically.
Yeah. And Miller's good. This isn't like Miller shade. This is just Pacome showed up. And that's why it
stood out, because Brandon Miller to me was like, I remember coming in last year, I was like, I don't know, it might be a rough year. And then every time he played the Knicks, he turned into like Kevin Durant. But
that was a really cool thing, by the way. Again, not Hornets post game, but Brandon Miller playing summer league, and not just playing summer league, but trying and caring. They had him mic'd up, and he was really supportive of his teammates. I don't know. If I was a Hornets fan, I would not have I would feel like I don't have a lot to, like there's not a lot of good things happening in Charlotte right now. And, him, Mark Williams, these are things I would hold on to because I feel like it's going to be a tough couple years unless they have some real surprises. And that was nice to see for them. But yeah, I mean, I think
guy, huh?
I don't think he's long for Charlotte. I think he's getting out of there. I don't know. He hasn't been healthy in so long either. I don't even know what to think in terms of his impact on winning. This will be an interesting season for them. But yeah, back to the Knicks and Dadiet. I think he can protect the rim some. So I think defense and his connective passing on offense are good. I think he's clearly going to be helpful in transition. I think he showed that already. I think he has good feel in transition in terms of like where to space the floor, what lanes to fill. And again, just the physical traits. They just correlate so heavily with a guy who can be helpful and good in transition. He needs to become a better shooter. I don't know if that's mechanical based. That's Prez's area of expertise. I don't know if it's mechanical based or he's just not a good shooter, but he's not going to, it's going to be really hard for him to be an impactful player in this league if he's what he's been shooting these 3 games. Again, 18 years old, he's raw, he's got plenty of time. I'm not writing him off as a shooter, but I'm just saying he needs to find a shot if that's the most important thing for him, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's also just, I think you can see he's like trying to like find his way, but he doesn't want to hijack things. So he's kind of getting like lost in the shuffle a bit. Last game, he got really aggressive trying to find a shot. And then today he was kind of like just moving the ball, not trying to do too much. He'll figure it out. I'm not that, or, whether he does or not, it's not going to happen right now. But yeah, I agree. The shot obviously needs to get better. It's also like we also need to remember this is insanely small sample we're working with. But like, I think he's shot what, like fucking what is he? Probably 2 for 14 or something from 3. If he made 3 more, we'd be like, oh man, like this kid might be able to really stroke it. Like it's the margins are small. This is why summer league is, it's like to your point that you made earlier. So much of it is just like watching how guys are playing, which is why like I don't care what Dwayne Washington's numbers are. I'm just like I can't do this. Like this is not actually helping anybody. This isn't even helping him because like to your point, it's like dude, you're never going to get this latitude from any NBA team unless it's the end of the fucking season and we're playing to like, maximize our lottery odds or something. So, yeah, I think Dadiet is fine. It's a slow burn with him. Again, the Knicks knew what they were doing when I think they had a plan when they drafted him. That plan did not involve him being a high impact player today. There's plenty of stuff for him to work on. You can see some of his decision making is in the right. It's like right idea, wrong execution. It's a lot of it. But that's stuff you can figure out, and he will be figuring that out in Westchester. Get your tickets now. Hukporti, what did I thought he had my biggest thing with him that I've noticed through the 3 games in Summer League, I think his defensive coverage has improved gradually over each game, which might be a function of just like getting familiar with the guys he's playing with and understanding the rotations and stuff like that. But the one consistent I've noticed is he does not like getting out to the perimeter. Does not like doing it. He gave Drew Timmy a couple of wide open threes today. Had one in the first half that was completely wide open. He just, and he's a big guy, so I get he sinks, and he got burned on that a few times. But man, I thought after he came back in the second quarter, the rest of his minutes were, if nothing else, very energetic. I thought he was really good today. Again, 5 of 7 from the field, 11 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists. He got 1 assist on Dadiet after he tried to go behind the back, which was certainly an adventure. But he's
Your time in transition?
Yeah.
Dude, that was so fucking funny. I don't know what he was doing there. That was hilarious.
Was awesome.
I can't believe it worked out.
That was awesome. But he's a big guy, and I think, this has been mentioned before, but he is somebody who's coming off of an Achilles injury. He played this whole last season, but I think you can still see that there's still some recovery there for him to get to 100% athletically. But today I thought you saw he popped a little bit more athletically than he has in other games. Like he had a couple of offensive boards where I was like, oh, okay. Like he really got up there to get that board. I mean, he had one where I think Sam Mitchell on the broadcast is like, oh, he's eating these rebounds today. I was like, damn, that's I've never heard that. That's crazy verbiage. But yeah, I thought he had a good game today.
He definitely checks the boxes that Knicks brass, whether it's the coaching staff or the front office or both operating in lockstep, that they want from their center. And honestly, I think he's not physically starting from a higher start point than Mitch, but I'm shocked at how disciplined he is in terms of what he does in the paint. He's not like flying around for blocks and stuff. He's good at staying at home and just sort of leveraging his size to be, he knows what a force he can be if players try to take him at the rim. He doesn't have to try to force, block shots or deflections or impact. He's just sort of impactful by being there. And that's a good starting point. Obviously Mitch was, outlier of outlier level athlete, he was raw, but they were starting from, his size, his length, how high he could jump. It's tough to compare him to anybody, but I do think Hukporti, there is something there defensively. And you made the point earlier, he had a couple of silly end of shot clock, 8 to 10 foot turnarounds. But besides that, he really just seems to be like, yeah, I'm here to catch the ball on the roll and put the ball in the basket when I'm close to the basket and get offensive rebounds. And
got good hands. He's got really good hands.
Yeah, he's got good hands. Him and Kolek have already developed good chemistry on that pick and roll, which, I mean, look, I love Mitch.
Oh,
And
God.
Mitch would obliterate summer league in his own way. He would dismantle these people. But I'm not sure, you put Mitch in these screen rolls with Kolek, if he's rolling to the basket, catching it in rhythm and like just laying it in, and like he's so.
I think you're sure. Just
yeah,
I think you're very sure.
I'm trying to be nice because I love Mitch. I'm trying to spin this as positively as possible. It's impressive how natural Hukporti looks on the roll. And of course, it's helpful that Kolek is the guy who's, setting the table for him, putting him in really good spots. But it's not just the open dunks and the offensive rebounds. There are times, he catches the ball and he's just very seamlessly, one step, two step, okay, layup. I know this sounds simple, but for guys that size, it's not simple. And yeah, I think that's good. I think if you know what you're good at and you stick to impacting in only those areas, you can be a really good player in this league. So, I mean, I'm going to swing it back to you because you're the Ariel Hukporti enjoyer. I don't think it's to the point where it's like, I hope he's seeing the backup center minutes from opening night, but I do think there is something there down the line.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, they gave him a two-way deal. We'll see what they end up doing with his backup big spot. I can't believe Precious is still out there. I'm trusting them that there's something that's being cooked up that I haven't thought of, that nobody's thought of, and we'll sit here in fucking like a month and be like, wow, they're geniuses. But yeah, like if let's say they brought back Precious, and then your depth is basically Hukporti on this two-way, and we'll talk about him a little bit. I think Skipintsev's been. I like what I've seen of him. There's some I-heartness to some of his things, which I like. But like, if that's your depth, look, is that ideal? No, and we'll see if Tibbs does it or not. But between those options and now with having OG, with having Bridges, like
he's
not going
to do it. He's not going to do it. Yeah,
all I'm saying is you have enough. You actually have enough. Like, you have enough to get through a season if that's the totality of your center options, like those guys plus having Randle. If you can't do that, that is something that we can discuss at that time. But like, if you told me today this is the team, that's going to be the team going into the season, I'd be like, that's fine. Like, that's not ideal. It's not perfect. It's not what I would want in a lab, but I would be okay with that. And then, hey, let's get to the deadline, and then let's see what's happening around the league. Let's see where we are, and let's see what moves there can be to be made. Because I don't think the options that they're going to have. Look, again, maybe they have something that they have that's cooking, and we don't know, and it's going to be awesome. But barring some huge move, the stuff that like the minor stuff that people have like talked about, like Nick Richards and Walker Kessler. The more I've like watched some of his tape over the last couple of weeks, after being linked to him, like I'm a little like if you got to trade Deuce straight up for him, fine. But like, I'm not really interested in like doing the Ainge thing where it's like, well, I need both your protected picks, and actually, why don't you throw in a swap? And that's like, why don't you go fuck yourself? How about that? Why don't you do that? And like, just because I'm sorry, like this is the thing you always should ask yourself. I can't believe whatever. Who cares? Nobody really cares about summer league that much. The thing you always have to ask yourself is like, why the fuck does Utah? Why are they even listening in on like a second-year center who a year ago they were telling anybody who'd listen, this guy's untouchable. Him and Markin are our future front court forever. And now all of a sudden it's, well, we'll listen. It's like when those things start to shift, you got to ask why. And like, I don't know, man. Like, I understand it's summer league, and I don't necessarily always expect a third-year player to come in, especially one who's been playing a lot of minutes. If they're asked to play, I can see that scenario where they're like, this is stupid, I'm not going to try. It didn't look like he was not trying against Zach Edey. It did not look like he was not trying. And it looked like he got fucking rocked. And he got rocked in ways that would concern me for a team that in the Knicks situation is very obviously playing to win games and as many games as they can now. Because his physical, like his physicality, his makeup, I don't know what the hell he's been doing the last couple of years. His body does not look like it has transformed at all. And that would concern me because that's not a concern to me in the long term, because that can just be a long-term thing for guys. But it would concern me if I'm trading, again, Deuce and the 2 picks we have left and other, like, then I'm much like, you know what? I will keep that powder dry and I will see what shakes out at the deadline, because I don't think that necessarily is going to be one. I don't buy that that's going to be totally off the table for us at that time. And 2, I'm okay with rolling the dice and being like, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, I think the Knicks are probably done doing stuff besides Precious. Like, I think they'll probably retain Precious. I think the one exception to that would be if a Towns deal gets made. I feel like that's the only big move that I can see. And then, then we'd have all other kinds of questions and potential things that we need to fill out. But yeah, but I agree with you under the paradigm you've created where they're willing to play quote unquote Julius at the 5, whatever. OG at the 5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even saying, to your point, like, I tend to agree with you where it's like, I'll believe it when I see it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying that, like, if I'm the front office, I'd be like, look, we could not get you every single thing you wanted, but we're pretty fucking close. And we gave you pieces. We're playing Julius, OG, whoever at the 5 is a viable thing. If you choose not to do that, that is like, that's your thing. That's your choice. But we've given you the options.
I mean, if he chooses not to do it across a full season in favor of, giving Precious Achiuwa 18 to 22 minutes a game at backup center, or giving Jericho Sims, like, because injuries are going to happen.
We actually didn't name Jericho, by the way, in our.
Yeah, it's fine. He's a nice guy.
He's a good person.
He's a good guy. If he chooses not to do it across the whole season, and then the Knicks get to the playoffs and it's clear that they need to do it because of obvious reasons, because versatility is important, as we've talked about for years, that needs to be dealt with. I'm not saying you need to fire the coach. I'm just saying there needs to be some incentive or some, we got these guys that you like. That's what we were talking about earlier. We got these guys that are your type of guys. We tried the thing in 2022. We tried the thing where we got guys you didn't like and thought maybe you'd adapt to their style. Okay, you didn't do that. That's okay. The team didn't work. We pivoted. We pivoted to guys you like. But can you please just adapt a little bit and try to hit this team ceiling, because this team has a championship ceiling, in my opinion. I think this year they could win a championship. But I don't think they can win a championship just playing the same way, playing this one way the whole season. Very few teams do that. You have to be an all-time great team, and maybe this Knicks team is that. But if they're not, you don't have to be an all-time great team to win a championship. You can be a very, very, very great team and win a championship. And I think the Knicks can reach that level. I just think they have to do, they have to be willing to change it up in spots. And that requires sometimes in the regular season being like, okay, I'm not sure that this is quote unquote the best, but this will pay off down the line. This will pay dividends in a few months when we get back to this spot and we're more prepared for it, rather than, the 2021 thing. We spent, I know I started with Strickland at the end, but you and I spent the last couple months of that season being like, yeah, this is great. This is fun. Why the fuck is Elfrid Payton in the lineup? This team sucks when he plays. He's bad at basketball. And people would say, oh, well, Tibbs got the most out of this team. Nobody expected them to do anything, so we can't criticize. And it's like, no, because it's not like the implication there is that he couldn't have done these things without Elfrid Payton, and he could have. Their data is right there staring at you. They got to the playoffs, and Tibbs was like, oh, shit, this strategy of playing Elfrid Payton the first 6 minutes of each half and then Derrick Rose the last 18 minutes of each half isn't working. We have to have an actual rotation. And it was too late. And it's like, you need to prepare for these things. You need to be prepared to take a punch. You need to be prepared for the status quo to not work out and then more easily pivot from it. And so that is what the value of playing Julius at the 5 is in these moments. Aside from all the other positives, which are like, yeah, the Knicks have Mikal Bridges and Dante DiVincenzo and OG Anunoby, who are great defenders. Okay, maybe rim protection isn't as important when the defense at the point of attack is as potent as it's going to be. And then on the other end, you get your two most important offensive players, Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, in the most possible space. It could just be their best lineup. We don't know. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it could be. It's clearly, it's probably their 5 best players. So
be their most potent offensive lineup anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It could be their best lineup. I'm not saying it again. It could be. I'm saying it could be their best overall lineup. And the point is, you have to find out. You just have
to. This is from John Larry. Somewhat related to this. Not somewhat related, but did you see Begley's article today where it says some of the Knicks front office don't think Randle fits great with this current roster? Definitely something to keep an eye on. I did see this. I will say that there was a lot of making sure you're covered on all ends in this answer that he gave, which was, it was an answer. I'll tell you that. Look, I don't know what to make of that. I do think it's a situation that people have, that it's kind of flying under the radar in the grander NBA discourse. And Julius in general seems to be like, it's this weird thing where like, I get the concerns about Julius and I kind of feel them a lot at times too, but I also get frustrated when people just like I fucking listened to that Simmons pod with Russillo and they did like fucking 15 minutes of the Knicks. And at the very end, they're like, oh yeah. And they got Randle too. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Like how do you have a conversation about the Knicks? And it's like, he's just getting treated as afterthought. So I get all of it. And this is why he's such a difficult, like it is almost kind of like reading Begley, what he wrote there, where like there's kind of two schools of thoughts on Julius, even from the front office. I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense because Julius is like him, and this is why we're even talking about trading him for Karl-Anthony Towns, who probably has the same exact fucking dynamic in Minnesota's front office, where like half of them are like, this guy's awesome, and the other half are like, but did you see those like 3 games in a row where he played like he was on meth? Like, and Julius is, the things he does, he's so talented, he's so good, but one, we still don't know how that translates to the playoffs because we didn't see it. Didn't happen this year, not his fault, but he didn't get a chance to redeem himself in the playoffs, unfortunately. And 2, it's just like, look, the Knicks have undergone significant roster change in the last year. So there's just a lot to consider. And then you have the whole contract situation where it's like, if you extend him, there's very valid reasons to want to do that, which go beyond just like his ability as a basketball player, but also when you're managing the cap and your asset sheet and all this type of things. But then there are also valid reasons to be like, trade him. And then there are other valid reasons to be like, why don't we just play out the year and see what happens? And it's like, when you're dealing with that many things, it's like, this is why I like to host post-game shows and podcasts and not be Leon Rose and have to actually make crucial basketball decisions that affect the fate of the franchise.
Yeah, this is why context and nuance are so important, because everything gets treated as if it's just purely binary. If you say, oh, I don't think Julius Randle is the best fit on this team, you're immediately placed in this, bag where you just hate Julius Randle and you think he sucks. But so you always have to qualify things. I don't think you should have to qualify. It's clear that Julius Randle is a really good basketball player. At least 3 of the last 4 seasons, he's been a hugely impactful basketball player. All the stuff you brought up, with his contract, how much is he actually worth, the fit concerns, these are things that are there. And so if the Knicks lose Julius Randle, if he went down on opening night this year, knock on wood, he doesn't, and they just lost him for nothing, they'd get worse. I don't understand why we have to say that. That should be obvious. There's nobody who thinks the Knicks like get better losing a positively, hugely impactful player like Julius Randle for nothing. The question is, can you improve off him in terms of making the team better by replacing him with something who maybe fits better? That's where the conversation lies. And I'm not expressing a certainty either way. I'm just saying, can we at least have the conversation reasonably as Knicks fans? I know we can't. I know that.
Well, not on Twitter. You can't do it on Twitter.
Yeah, I know that 95% of people don't want to actually have the conversation reasonably. They already have their mind made up. But it's hugely frustrating because I do think it's an interesting conversation, not just as a Knicks fan, as a basketball fan, because you have this great player and then and clearly great player, all the data from the basic stats to the advanced metrics, they all are like, this is a guy who's been a deserving all-NBA player twice in the last 4 seasons and a deserving all-star 3 times in the last 4 seasons. And then you're like, but how do you win the championship with him on your team? How do you do it? What is the right team build for Julius Randle? And you kind of you need certain things. You need a 5 who can shoot, but also can protect the rim. Those are pretty rare. You need that because Julius Randle likes to operate inside the arc. And then you also you don't want Julius Randle being the de facto unequivocal primary initiator. So you need a primary initiator who can be like a 1A or a 1B with him, but also serves as a spacer. Because if he's, someone like Donovan Mitchell's a bad example because he's a good shooter. But there are plenty of primary initiators, Ja Morant, De'Aaron Fox. If you have one of these guys, well, I don't know if they're good enough shooters, pure shooters to space off the ball. So how would a Fox-Randle 2-man game work? It'd be good, obviously. They're both really good players. My point is that it's tough. It's tricky. But this is the good news for Knicks fans. The Knicks have done such a good job of filling out their team. I truly believe that in spite of a suboptimal fit, they can and should expect to compete for a championship. That's how good this team is. Because with Julius Randle, you would want guys like Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. These are perfect. If Bridges can revert to his Phoenix form, I know it's been a few years, but if he can revert to that form, Bridges and OG Anunoby is about as good as you can do on the wing next to Julius Randle. That's it. That's what you want. And so, if you want to have the conversation, you want to have a reasonable conversation about, can the Knicks upgrade from Julius Randle? Is there a package they can make where they could get better? I'm here for it. But let it be known and make sure that there's the underlying implication or the underlying fact that the Knicks are a really good team with Julius Randle and in spite of the suboptimal fit, and they can compete for a championship. Let's not make it this binary thing where if you don't think it's a perfect fit, that means that he sucks or that means they can't win with him. At least I don't believe those things. I don't think you do either.
Yeah, no, there's just so many moving parts to it. And that's what it's impossible to just have a static opinion that isn't tied into a bunch of other things. The Bridges thing you brought up is pretty interesting because I think there's a good argument that the experience he had having to shoulder this offensive creation burden that he clearly was not suited for in Brooklyn, that might make him even a superior version, at least offensively, of what he was in Phoenix. Because he just will be his game is so portable in the idea of it can scale down and up to some degree. So scaling it down, but now having had that experience, you would think there's a benefit to that. Obviously also having the experience of defenses were keyed in on me versus defenses are not going to be keyed in on you right now, buddy. You're going to be
and just to hop in here for a second, the main point to Steelman your perspective. When Bridges was in Phoenix, he was shooting off the catch, he was attacking closeouts. And what you're saying is that all of a sudden his handle attacking those closeouts is going to be a little tighter because he has a lot more experience handling the ball. His accuracy from the mid-range probably going to be a little bit better because he shot more of those shots.
And he's
as a
going to get
primary
easier versions of those shots.
Right. He's getting easier versions of those shots, and he's going to be more comfortable shooting them. So that's where that's where, you know, he's scaling down, but he's going to improve around the edges of those things in those areas where he's scaling down too. I think that's an excellent point. And it's also, you know, not to change the subject entirely, it's a really interesting case study for Emmanuel Quickley in Toronto because they're asking him to scale up, but he's proven to have such a high floor as an impact player. If he doesn't work as a primary initiator, you don't just say, oh, you suck. Like, they still have this player who's like a really good player who can be an additive piece. Bridges will lay the foundation of, is it possible for this role player, super really good role player, being asked to scale up? Is it possible to just revert to that role player role and just pick up where you left off? Is that a thing? Or has he evolved too much? I think it's going to be a really interesting thing to watch for Bridges this year.
Yeah. My bet is guys like Bridges and Quick would be able to scale down. And it also helps that in Quickly's case, like, he got his payday. So, like, it's a lot easier to be like, hey, you have to scale down now. He'll be like, great, awesome, I can do that. Yeah, it's Quickly will be an interesting one. I do think, to me, he's a guy who will end up getting traded, like, in 2.5 years. Because they're like, we're not going anywhere. This guy is not leading us anywhere. And fucking Brad Stevens will probably trade like the corpse of Al Horford at that time and like a 2nd round pick and get him and that will be good for them. So, but yeah, like, I think he's a guy that I agree with you. I actually don't think he's going to be, I mean, I just don't understand their team right now. I did like a couple of the guys they added, like Davion Mitchell and the kid they drafted, Jamal Sneed. I think those are good additions to their team for getting some point of attack defense in there. But I'm really not bullish on, like, honestly, I think they're going to end up selling low on him. And I think there's a chance they sell low on Barnes over the course of time because I just don't really like the build of everything that's going on there. But that's neither here nor there. Maybe
I think what they've done is they've basically created a situation where they have 2 guys in Barnes and Quickly, their cornerstone pieces, who already have a pretty safe high floor as like additive supporting pieces. And to me, that's a really unique thing to have because it sort of gives you maximum flexibility, you know? Like, if it doesn't pan out this season or the next season, I think they definitely know this is a multi-year process. But I think if it doesn't pan out in the next couple seasons, that's when you start looking for the guy to be the guy. That's what every team's looking for, is a guy to be the guy. Right now they're seeing, can Barnes and or Quickly be the guy? That's what they're seeing the next few seasons. But this is a rare case where the guys they're betting on can scale down. It's sort of what Brooklyn tried to do with Bridges. So I don't know. I'm not saying they're going to be a playoff team next season, but I sort of like the flexibility they've left themselves with in their young roster.
Well, I like it a lot more now that they have their pick. That helps the cause because I don't think they're going to be very good this year. H. Richard says, I think the Hornets are the most obvious candidate of the teams in the bottom of the East to make a leap. I mean, if LaMelo is healthy, they will make a leap. Like, it is really that simple to me because he is whatever everybody can validly question a lot of things about LaMelo Ball. But he is unequivocally a valuable regular season player, if nothing else. Like, he will help you win basketball games in the regular season. And in general, like, I don't know anything about T-John Salon. Prez doesn't seem to like him. I've heard there are a lot of people that don't seem very high on him. But in general, I just like what they've done. Like, obviously getting Brendan Miller is nice. Mark Williams is a solid piece if he's healthy that they inherited from the previous front office. But like, I think they have an idea of what they're doing. You know, like they're like, okay, you know what? We suck. Let's trade Rozier. He's out. You know, like they bring in Micic, they bring in Terrence Mann, or not is it Terrence Mann? No, Trey Mann from OKC. Yeah. And they took a flyer on him, and like, you know, we'll see what those guys are, but I like that move. I like them being like, hey, PJ Washington, maybe he's gonna be good somewhere else, but it's not gonna be here. Smart move. They signed him to a good contract and they traded him for a 1st round pick. Like, I think they are operating in a way that makes sense. Whether that ends up yielding anything or not, I don't know. The Miles Bridges thing obviously is disgusting for a variety of reasons, but when you're operating in a competitive marketplace, if there are other teams that were willing to pay that guy, and I guarantee you there were, we saw plenty of reports of it. And you don't get 3 years, $75 million because nobody else is willing to pay you, unless you're Tobias Harris. But like, you know, I'm pretty confident they'll be able to trade him at the trade deadline for value, and they can move on from that, wash their hands of that, and they've added more, potential future assets in that scenario. Like, I just think they're operating smart, and let's see what LaMelo Ball can do with hopefully what is a more serious franchise that's put around him. And I do think Brandon Miller, look, he has his own off-court thing in college, which I don't want to get into. But like, he seems like a serious basketball player, and I think that's good. I think that's good for him, or not good for not for Miller. I mean, yeah, that is good for him, but I think it's good for LaMelo. And look, I mean, when you're talking about what kind of running mates do you want for a point guard like LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller is, he's exactly the type of guy you would want in a backcourt next to him. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. But I agree. I think if LaMelo's healthy, I totally agree with this. They're going to make a leap.
Who's their fifth starter going to be, do you think? Bridges, Williams, Miller, LaMelo, and who? Will it be a guard, or will they play Brandon Miller at shooting guard?
I feel like they'll just play Miller at shooting guard. It's weird, but I think they'll do that.
Yeah.
I don't know what else. Maybe
I wish they had a better option at shooting guard. Like, I don't know. I'd almost rather start like Josh Green. I just feel like Miller.
That's other. I like that move. It's like, okay, do you want to just get Josh Green for nothing? Sure. Oh, Grant Williams, right? Isn't that who they started before?
Yeah, sick.
Love him. Such a fun player.
Yeah. I do not like him.
Maybe they can start Nick Smith Jr., who apparently is like the greatest player of all time in Summer League.
He's so sick. Seriously, he's so good. That'd be fun. I mean, their defense wouldn't be good, but yeah. I don't know. I think that you can look. They're not going to be as bad as they were last season. That would be save injuries or just something went terribly wrong. But I mean, to Ace's point, they're getting LaMelo back. It's reasonable to expect impact leaps from Mark Williams and Brandon Miller, especially because Mark Williams should play more games. Again, personal stuff aside, Miles Bridges, good player. He'll help them when he'll help any basketball team he plays for when he's on the court. So it's a fine lineup that you can. It's way better than what they were trying out last season. They're not going to win a playoff series probably, but they should be better. So
yeah, Chris Bernard says they might play Seth Curry at the 2. It's possible.
I mean, Seth of 5 years ago profiled as somebody who you want next to LaMelo Ball. That's the type of guy you want. I mean, he doesn't really defend well, but he's going to help you off the ball, and he moves well off the ball.
Yep.
How old is Seth Curry? Is he 35?
I will guess he's 34. That'll be my guess. Let's see.
Yeah, 33.
33. He's turning 34. I win.
Yeah, you do win.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. Is there anything else from Summer League you wanted to cover here?
Not really. Just talking shop, talking hoops. We didn't miss anybody, did we? I mean,
I don't know. I liked him. I think he's good. I think there's something there. I think there's something there.
He gives off per minute impact darling type, like he'll never play 20, he'll never play 30 minutes a game, but he'll be the guy who, he'll have, yeah, kind of a Hardenstein type. But I don't think he could ever. I mean, maybe he could. That'd be stupid to write him off like that.
Josh Harrelson.
Jesus, not him.
He was like that though for his rookie year. He had these crazy impact stats. You're like,
yeah,
this is it. I'm like, look, I get that. Have you watched Josh Harrelson play? Have you done that?
What a 15 years it's been for Knicks fans. Did you have the David Lee run?
Oh God, yeah.
I loved All-Star David Lee. His last year or so in New York, he was the heart and soul of being a Knicks fan.
It's so funny because he'd be like, dude, he's so bad on defense. I'm like, you don't get it. He's not that bad. Yeah. It's everybody else.
Yep. And he's such a good defensive rebounder. So, that's part of defense too.
Look at
And-
Nikola Jokic.
Oh man, him and Chris Duhon have this great two-man chemistry. Imagine if he had a real point guard.
Yeah, look, David Lee was a good player. Just we needed him to be something he wasn't, and I mean, like that and everything about that entire period of time was just so dumb about the Knicks. But yeah, like I don't know. I just think there's something with Skipintsev. Like I thought the way he's defended pick and rolls has been really good to me. His hands are active. The defensive rebounding could definitely improve some of his awareness on the glass. But I like that he can catch the ball in traffic and he's like not panicked. He doesn't rush into things. He actually has the ability to do some stuff with the rock. It's kind of surprising. I would like he doesn't pass as much as I think, like as almost because he's skilled. You can see he's skilled. So you would almost anticipate a big like him passing a little bit more than he does. But then when he does pass, he tries these like Nikola Jokic fucking home run passes. I'm like, dude, just how about just like a bounce pass or like a chest pass or just anything normal about that? But
He had the Hardenstein floater.
yeah, it was a deep floater. He's got something to him. The jumper is kind of nice. I don't know. I'm pretty intrigued by this guy. I think he's got like a 7'4", like his wingspan's like 7'4" or something too. So he's got some good measurables.
Nice.
So I don't know. We'll see what they do. Maybe they can fool Tibbs into thinking he's Hardenstein.
I have no further comments on him, not because I just agree with what you're saying. I think it's interesting, and we'll see. You know.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you to everybody that joined us here in the chat. Appreciate your comments and appreciate your support. Jeff, let people know they can find you. Plug anything you want to plug before we get out of here.
Frank Barrett, 11-9. Just keep following Strickland. Hot hand theory, I assume. People who are loyal enough to be watching, the Summer League stream. Appreciate you. Thank you all. Whether you like or don't like what I do, couldn't do it without you, as Schwinn always says. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I will plug. I will plug something. I will plug the article that I wrote with Miranda about Jalen Brunson's contract extension and the CBA and all kinds of fun things there. And then I'll plug all the other work that is dropping at the Strickland. We've had a lot drop over the last couple of weeks, so check it all out.
Remember, folks. Schwinn is the one who wrote that the Knicks would be better off without Durant and Kyrie. That was like the last thing he wrote. So when he writes stuff, it's meaningful. Check it out.
Yeah, don't read like the specifics of that article. Just know that I got the broad strokes right. But yeah, I check that out. And then aside from that, I got nothing. So that is our show for today. Me and Stacey will be recording the pod later tonight, so that'll be out tomorrow morning, hopefully. So be on the lookout for that. And aside from that, that's all. So go Knicks, and I will see you on Friday after the last game. Peace.